Baby mama, turn up. If you're pretty and you're sexy, let me see you turn up. You the mothers of the world, I call it mix. Universe, celebrate who you are.
Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Motherhood with myself, Nabifo Wamunga. This is where we talk about everything to do with motherhood. And last week we had with us a very interesting guest who spoke to us about balancing work and life and mom guilt, issues of mom guilt. This week, we have with us the illustrious Jaqi Deweyi. She is a media celebrity. She's a media consultant. Others call her the love coach. She needs to tell me more about what it is she coaches in love. She's a radio presenter. She has 2 YouTube channels. One is Enoch and Jaqi. The other is Before the Baby. Yeah. And she recently made her debut on TV with her own TV show together with her husband about travel and lifestyle and those who love food. I could keep introducing her because every week she seems to be doing something new. So welcome, Jaqi.
Oh, Freddie, thank you so much. What an intro. Thank you. Thanks for hosting me. And really happy to be here.
I'm glad to have you. So we are going to be talking mostly about something that you have not shied away from. Yeah. You've seriously been open about your issues with infertility.
Yes.
And I think you're trying to remove the stigma around infertility and with everything motherhood. I mean, that from the thoughts of conception all the way to having the child, that's what we try to cover.
Nice.
Infertility is a real thing.
It is a big thing.
Yeah, it's a big thing. So maybe you can give us a brief introduction on what it is that you're trying to do in this field.
All right. So first of all, thank you for creating this space because we don't have a lot of spaces where we can have to talk about these things and just have the right people watching because it's everything motherhood. So somebody's either trying to, be a mom or is a mom or is sharing something. So thank you, first of all, for creating the platform. So about the Before the Baby, how it came about, I've been struggling. I've been trying to have children for 10 years now. 10 years. And, of course, everybody asks you, oh, why? And because I've been working a lot with my husband in the past, and we do share a lot, even online, people go like, oh, that happiness. Now we need a baby. And, we have all these online in-laws.
Yes, I'm one of them.
Thank you. So, and, be concerned. I think it's from a good place. I think so. About, oh, now the baby. Oh, this love deserves a baby. And then, I was like, maybe I need to actually let them in. But also, there's been some negativity. Not like everybody was in support. Some people would use it to just try to get at me. Yeah. I've had co-hosts who've tried to raise the topic of, oh, would you stay with someone if they didn't have kids? Because they know I'm struggling. And I was thinking, you can't use that against me. So I decided, you know what? There's a lot of people that are going through this. And as a love coach, as somebody who's helping people with their relationship issues, being a love coach doesn't mean you're not going through stuff yourself. You do go through it, but you coach yourself into dealing and living with it. So I decided I would come out. And before I even decided I would come out, I was called for an interview at the New Vision about my love life and what with Karo Kasuja. And that was in Feb this year. So we did, and we had a conversation and I gave her the interview. And then I got a lot of feedback from that interview and people from couples struggling.
Was that your first time being open about your issues?
Kind of. I had mentioned bits and bits online on my Facebook, on my social channels. A bit. I'd spoken about certain conditions. Maybe we'll talk about them later on. And certain issues around infertility. So somehow I started to talk. And then even in my intro, and I meet people and they ask me, oh, you're married? When they see the rings. Oh, how many babies? I'm like, no, we're trying. So I like when the interview came and I was already psychologically ready to share with people. And so when I did the interview, I got a lot of single, not even single women who had been left because of these, married women who are struggling, people in breaking relationships because they're trying to have kids. And then I said, okay, then maybe we need more of this information to be coming out. And then before the baby was born, we have a YouTube channel. And then I'm working on a space just in Chicago High Road, a home where a lot of us could maybe meet more and have one-on-one talks in dealing with the situation. I don't know if I've answered your question right, though.
Yeah, there's no wrong answers. Everything you get 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, but, this is a very serious topic. And in our African setting, there's a lot of stigma, there's a lot of myths, there's a lot of negativity that surrounds this issue. And yet I think it's one of those things that we all deal with at one time or the other. For example, with me, I thought, we'd been scared straight from high school.
Yeah.
If you don't protect yourself when you're having sex, you'll have a baby.
Yeah.
And
think it's
all of
obvious.
that. Yes, so you think, now I want a baby, I'll
Boom,
just
that's
do
gone.
it. And it's not the case.
Yes.
It's not the case at all. You spoke about your having a husband and being in that. Take me through when you discovered that there was possibly something more to the story, why you were not conceiving.
Okay, so you even took out my mind earlier when you spoke about the stigma beat, but maybe I will come later.
No, you can start with that if you want
But the
to.
stigma beat is, as soon as you get married, this is Africa.
Yeah.
Even within your family, people expect you to give them some news. Now, it's not happening. Your husband has done, especially the traditional wedding, and now your relatives are calling and, what are we going to do? So this is there is more pressure from your own relatives.
Yes.
They are worried. What are these people going to do? When they're even probably scared of showing up, and they're like, now our daughter, she's been there, she does not have children. How is she? How are we going to come? But then they'll come and they're scared. And then sometimes I have conversations of like, my husband is in Uganda, and so there's a time one of my uncles asked me, he's like my dad. And he loves us really, like he's done what our dad would do. And it's like, do Baganda ask for dowry in case? Because I know it's not you're doing, but if maybe the day comes and maybe they would need it. Like, you see how people are psychologically preparing themselves for maybe the worst. And it's all from a place of love. But then there's also there's a relative who one day told me, Jaqi, you're very successful. Success in a way that, we hear your name out there. But, people define success differently. I think for her, it's the fact that she was hearing my name on radio, reading about me sometimes. And then she went to say,
What?
Yes, barren women usually come with a lot of blessings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That
and
is
she
bold.
is a relative, yeah. So, and, that's just one of those moments, because once I've not forgotten, because my mom keeps remembering, this woman, she said this. So, and there are all those things. Some say you hear, some say you don't, but they're talking. And it's actually irresponsible of you not to expect people to talk.
Yeah.
Because they're thinking, that's his wife, where are the children? And sometimes people are going to want to tell you, but they're going to use other people to fight you.
Yes.
You will have situations where other people close to those people are trying to maybe be rude. And no, this person is, or say...
Or bring it out in such a way that they gauge your reaction to take back to the conversation.
Exactly, and we're like, and then some will be like, but you people in the media business, maybe you're not trying. They're trying to make it, and then somehow they're all concluding it's your fault.
Yes.
You are the one that's not interested, maybe
yes.
because of your work. You're judged a lot and whatnot, but you get to learn to accept that everybody's going to have an opinion on this situation. So that's the stigma bit of it. And then you asked, when did I
realize that it was more than just, that you needed to get checked, or you needed to find out more information, that this was not happening? How was that for you? It must have been really tough.
Yes. So in 2012, we had just, I think, in 2012 we had Kuchala intro, one of those traditional events. And then I just had a miscarriage. The one they call Mr. Abortion, where you didn't realize actually then you don't keep it. Then I was like, oh, that's normal. We'll heal with this and soon another will happen. And then at that time, we didn't even look so ready, you know, when you just, you're still excited about life. You're like, it's okay. When the time comes, we'll be good. So the healing came on. My body was healed. And then I realized, okay, now it's a year, 2013. What happened? Maybe body's still under pressure. And then 2013, we were robbed at home. So I thought maybe so the doctor didn't say, but my mom just said, maybe the pressure, the fear of all the attack that happened because we're home in the morning and suddenly there's a robbery in the neighborhood, in the entire neighborhood, including our house. So we thought, it's the body not being able to handle this. 2013, 2014, 2015, then everybody's beginning to ask, what's up? What's going on? My mother-in-law, she passed on, I think last year, bless her. She was one of, surprisingly, a lot of people say their mothers-in-law are. But for us, she would just be like, maybe we try, should try to, like an elder, maybe we boil these leaves, they can help, cleanse. Those things we all know, Herbalife, try to boil this plant, try this, maybe let's cleanse and see. But with love and support, because of course, questions are coming, everybody's asking. But luckily, she did not give me those.
Yeah, she didn't give you a hard time.
No, she didn't. She was equally trying to be part of the solution. My own people were saying, okay, so what do we do? How can we try this? Can we try that? And all the time, I'm not even seeing a problem. I think it's going to happen. Then I started, okay, then I went to see a doctor. No, my periods were very irregular. But when I was younger, they'd be very, very painful. I had very painful cramps, very bad. Everybody around me would know she's in her periods now. I would cry. I couldn't sleep. I would be on painkillers, or sometimes the painkillers would not even be enough to handle this pain. So I thought, okay, so they kept, when you're younger, they keep saying, no, when you have children, the pain will reduce.
Yes.
And you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. So then I was like, so my mom was like, hey, no, when you have kids, this periods will. And then my periods again became very regular. So there's a time I think I took about 6 months of no period. So I went to the hospital and I'm not pregnant. Then I realized, okay, it's a hormonal disorder. So almost in these little moments, so time is moving. So I started to, I think 2016, I saw a doctor who told me, okay, you have PCOS, called polycystic ovarian syndrome. So you have cysts on your ovaries, those little things. So it's like a hormonal disorder as well. They make it impossible to ovulate regularly. So you don't know when you're ovulating, and it's a sort of a disorder. And I didn't know that was there too. So then I found out I had that. Then I was like, okay, that should be a small thing. Then I started to read it up more, and I started to get more information. And I'm like, it's going to be okay. Usually the first medication they'll give you is Clomid. And you think it should work. It should just stimulate the ovulation. It doesn't work. I'm okay. So one day, my mother-in-law thought that, when you had this miscarriage, maybe you want cleansed really well. So I went to the doctor. There's a doctor in Mulago that was seeing me. Then he told me, let's also do that tubal test. And I found out now my tubes were partially blocked.
What? Okay.
Yeah, you see? So then I found out my tubes are partially blocked. So I found out my tubes are partially blocked. So you do that HSG X-ray, that checks the tubes. Went on, did everything, Habo, and I've done everything. The Habo things, the camonia leaves, you boil and you take and what. Then, so then I realized I had now blocked tubes, I had hormone imbalance, and I had cysts. But I kept finding out in different intervals. When you go and you're like, okay, but then I check this. Now you're going to check if you can ovulate, and then it's not like that. Then they find another disorder. So I've known for 5 years now. Been married 10 years, but now 5 years into this thing. Now I've actively been trying to get on medication and heal my body.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like how you're so, it hasn't made you a bitter, negative person, which is a really good thing. And I know you're still hopeful.
I am.
Despite everything. So what keeps you positive? What keeps you hopeful despite the the current situation?
One, I have a very supportive family. My mom, I think, has been through it all. Like she's my mom, my siblings. I'm the first one of 5, and imagine both my siblings who follow me. Both the girls have children, and so I think I've loved them so much that they also give me happiness. But there's that family support, knowing. But even my husband too. My husband, it's not always rosy like in any marriage. We have our fights and our issues, but in this particular issue, he's been there. He's allowed me to openly, deal with it. Even when I was going to do the interview, I told him I'm going to talk about it. He said, it's okay. You can do it. And then I told him I was going to start coaching and be focused on couples going through this. He was like, yeah, we're going through it. So you can still go ahead and support them. So that too. And of course, faith. You pray. And there are those seasons. I think every woman battling fertility knows there are those seasons when you become a prayer warrior. You pray first. Then you naturally your spirit goes down. You take a break and you're like, let's first calm down. Then again you go like that. You move, you drop.
So where are you in that journey right now? Are you up or you down?
In my spiritual journey?
Yes.
The truth is, lately I have been
taking a break.
I am at the break level. Yeah, I'm not blaming God or anything, but sometimes I don't know if anybody can relate. When you've prayed so hard, you've gone into fasting, you have prayer warriors praying with you, and you're like, you know what? Maybe I'm also overly doing this. I need to relax a bit. So I go to that stage. So spiritually, as I can accept and confess that my spirit is low right now, I am doing the medication again. Because, even with the medication, you do it. Then you're like, you know what? Take a break. All this money, I could have built a house in it. You take a break. And you resume. So I've resumed the treatment.
I read, So I read something about you where you were talking about IVF and how expensive it is. So have you tried IVF yet? Or are you, where are you on IVF?
So about our treatment, it was when did we travel? The time we went to East London, that was, goodness.
East London in South Africa?
Yes. It's like more than 6 years now. We went there and we're told there's a very good guy. I went visiting my in-laws and they took us to a certain guy, and the fertility doctor that was very good. And he saw the same things that were tested here, and he suggested IVF. But then I didn't think then it was an option. So we started to, little by little, try these little medications to regulate the hormones and what. I think I have a file in almost every fertility clinic in this town. I do. You know how it is? You're like, this is the doctor. Then when it does something, like, maybe I need to get a break. Maybe this. Every doctor you meet gives you hope. And I know they've done their part. But that's why you need to also fear God. When God decides, I believe it will happen. When he says no time, maybe we need to also trust his timing. So a lot of moments I thought I needed IVF until during COVID, by the way. When was that? When did we have the outbreak? The pandemic?
March.
During COVID, there was one of the fertility clinics that had an offer for IVF. And when actually my sisters were very happy, they said, Jaqi, finally it might be possible for you to stop all these many treatments and let's go on and call. So my young sister, Sissy, she calls the hospital, she calls like me, and she tries to understand, so this offer, IVF, what's going on? And then she told me, the offer is on, it's 28 million. That's like a COVID discount.
28 million.
28 million. But now that 28 million is usually not just it. Then with that, comes other costs and whatnot. So clearly IVF, I needed now to, I've been spending on these treatments all this while. Now again, I have to. So I was like, no, let's what I mean. Because even with IVF, it's not a given that you're going to actually conceive. So in this COVID, so when the lockdown was finally lifted recently, then I went to Mulago, the women's fertility clinic, and I saw my mom's doctor, my mom's gyne, the one that helped her conceive us, and she's still there. She's actually very good, and she trains people in fertility treatments. She's a real good doctor. So she told me, let's try to test your tubes again. And this was the second one. Before I went to Mulago, there's another clinic I went to. I've gone to many clinics. I went to, and the doctor told me he didn't have like, what do they call it? Like really, really good equipment, modern. He can test you for the X-ray, but then according to your reaction and how much dye comes out, he would know that your tubes are either open or locked. So we tried that. We said, let's first do the what? Let's test the tubes again. So when the doctor said the tubes were open, I didn't believe in. Okay, I tried, I believed, but my mom said, that's another private clinic. We can't be sure. So we did Molago, and I recently did my HSG again. And I had a very clear left tube. So that means now I could conceive without IVF. My right one was also just partially blocked and with an infection, which I am now on treatment for. But so that the fact that now I finally have recently found out, this is the first interview I've had since I found out my tube is open. I haven't even done it, shown it. I'll mention on my YouTube channel soon. So when I've realized now this is Mulago Hospital and that hospital has state-of-the-art equipment, and this time I was sure I could see it. So now I don't need to go to IVF. So
that's excellent.
That's some good news
That
along
is
the way.
great news.
So
you know, in this, I was going to say Ugandan, but I think it's an African thing. Once you start looking like you're on the road to success, they try to throw you a child or someone to look after, or like someone to pay school fees for. You know, it happens. It happened to me as well. So now the fact that you're very open about having issues with conceiving. How many children have they tried to throw at you? Are you looking after some children?
I have been looking after children. Very true. So I recently had a cousin, my mom's side, my auntie. We're very close. And the ones that seem to sympathize with you and seem to understand. They keep doing this, but also wanting to give you responsibilities. Looks like you got a job and your cousin could study in Kampala. I once had to move my cousin from the village and stay with him. And there's a lot of terms and conditions, or he needs to go to boarding school. And I had to pay them money.
Yes.
He needs to go to
boarding
school.
Terms and conditions, but you must
I wasn't able to send him like first week because I needed to like prepare.
Yeah.
He's come from the village. I need to do the shopping and get a mattress and get everything. And the mom was on pressure and putting my mom on pressure too. You know, when my kid left, I thought he was going to Kampala to study. It's a week and I'm told he hasn't yet, gone to school. I was in trouble for not being able to send him first week. So second week I sent him VDI. And then I was always getting calls from the village, like from the aunt of mine. Oh, so how is he? Have you been able to visit him? Or have you? What did you take? Like I was under supervision. I am supposed to. That was crazy.
Did you tell her to come and take her child?
No, it was just my mom that realized, this is a lot of pressure and it's not necessary. So when he went for holidays, I told them I wouldn't be able to come for him, but I'll send the school fees.
Yeah. It must be crazy.
It is. You always are expected to have some money to help somebody out. So until
because you don't have a kid.
You don't have a kid. So where is your money going?
Yes.
You should handle this.
I know it happens to the best of us.
That's how you went through it as well.
I went through it as well. I ended up paying for someone's school fees. Yeah. Actually,
and they never appreciate it.
I thought I was paying for a degree. She did a certificate course. So whatever happened to the rest of my money,
it's okay. It doesn't matter. At least she got a certificate.
Yeah.
She didn't eat all.
Yeah, we shall never know. Now, when it comes to the people around you, your close people who know you have this issue, do they show a certain level of sensitivity? Are they too sensitive? Are they, like, for example, we are speaking about infertility and here I am pregnant.
Oh, yes.
Having this conversation with you and it's like, am I triggering something? No. Am I, how sensitive should one be around not just yourself, but other women who are going through this situation? When is it like too sensitive, and then when is it too what's the opposite of sensitive? Too callous?
Yeah, that's a very nice question, by the way. It's tricky. Different people, I think, react differently. For me, now, like, I'm saying you're pregnant, I'm like, happy for you, congratulations. And especially because you've been through it, even if you say it's briefly, I'm like, oh, finally she's, out of this battle. And nobody. I also think it depends on the person. I get a lot of love from my mom and my siblings. I have that, like, they'll ask me about anything. And my mom, the moment she feels I'm feeling that way, you said it's going to break hand, right? And so you have somebody that gets you. But also I try not to... I know one thing is whenever you celebrate other people and they have a good thing, you're the next in line for something great. So if you start beefing people who are expecting, who are pregnant, then how are you going to attract these positive vibes for you to also, be able to celebrate your own children? And also, I look at this as a ministry. Like, maybe God allowed me to go through this. A lot of people do go through it. But I'm looking at it in a different light. I am using my story to empower somebody that's going through it, somebody that has given up. And I get a lot of love from my online community. Every day, somebody new discovers this channel. Yesterday, I'll show you the WhatsApp messages. Somebody from Kenya sent me a message and said, I was checking out online. I got your number on Facebook. And I want you to know I've just had my baby. I went through exactly all you're going through. I had blocked tubes. So you realize that, there's this whole community out there of even people that are from different places that you don't know that understand. And that means that even as I'm sharing, somebody else that's totally depressed, because some people have very tough partners, like very mean partners who have abused them physically. And of course, there are times when people do disrespect you. And you can't help but think this disrespect is coming from a place of you are like this. And they may not want to show it to you because it's a modern world and modern family setting. But then you know that, maybe this is why so-and-so tries to treat me like this, or so-and-so has done this. Sometimes you're wrong, but you can't also help the fact that sometimes you have to blame the situation on how you are being treated in certain situations. You also, as much as we also have to be understanding, and I hope a woman going through this in a relationship and you have a very understanding partner or very understanding in-laws, you need to understand that sometimes, as much as they're trying to be patient with you, you put yourself in their shoes and you're like, you know what? Maybe this is happening because of this. Maybe if it was my brother, I would also feel like this, or I would also behave like this. Even a maid can just disrespect you because they feel like your auntie and nobody's mom. So, I've had my fair share of moments. I've had a maid that bullied me and disrespected me so much. I was crying every day because of a housemaid.
What?
Yes.
Someone who you could fire.
Yeah, but then I was like, that's not even the right thing to do. At least it could be worse.
No, but maids is a whole other topic that we need to get into some other time, because maids can either make or break your spirit, honestly.
They do. You need to. And you just can't say, what can you do? Are you going to have a quarrel with a maid and like an altar? You can't. You can't do that. It doesn't make sense. You want to be the bigger person and you're like, okay, so this maid is... Like I'm telling you, sometimes you take disrespect and whether it is because of the situation you're in or not, you can't help but think there's a level of contribution.
Now I'm going to ask you a tough question. Have you considered adoption?
From my heart, no. But my mom has tried to suggest that maybe it would be, what do you think? Do you think Okay, like, I think she also talks about it because she feels like, as a mom, maybe it would give me a sense of, but I have nieces that I love very much. I have Skylar. She makes me very happy. I have Taya, who is Tara. I have... Tariq, like my nephews that I don't know, there's a love I feel for them, and I sometimes think maybe it's close to what a mom's love would be, because they are my own sister's children, and I'm not choosing it as a consolation. A friend of mine once did that. She adopted. She adopted from a good heart because she's like that. She's a Christian. She felt like, we have so much, and as we try to have our own kids, we could bring in a child, and she went to a baby's home in Kampala and adopted, and she had a lot of issues. Her own people were saying, oh, she's trying to cover up the void of... So when I saw her story and how painful this whole thing had gone, that she had done out of the goodness of her heart, I was like, you know what? Of course, people are already talking, but she was frustrated. And she was the talk, oh, they now bought a baby. Oh, they are trying to feel like they can have kids. So I decided I'm going to support people from wherever, but I'm not going to... if I am to adopt, if it happened for me, and then I was able to have my own child, then I would adopt, because I do believe that there are children that do deserve this, deserve another person, that deserve a mom. But again, in my kind of situation right now, I think it would put me in a worse situation, in a more tricky situation, looking at some of the few hiccups I have had. It's impossible for anyone battling this to tell you they have not been disrespected, they've not been stigmatized. There are things. People have met my mom. I will protect the name for the sake, but my mom, at a funeral, was approached by someone's mother to discuss my fertility issue. So what is your daughter going to do?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she left the funeral very broken. She told me, can you imagine so-and-so's mom came to me and spoke so that a family I am married in, people close by, are listening. So what is your daughter going to do? How is she going to keep this marriage? Do you think this husband is going to be patient? And my mom was like, what? She kept very calm, but I could see after this funeral that she was like, hey, Jaqi, what are we going to do? This person's mom was trying to maybe make a message to everybody around how my daughter is struggling, but it's... So you see, when I tell you, if I adopted, maybe my mom too would pay for the daughter's sin to adopt right now. Yeah.
So it must be really, really tough.
It is.
Yeah, and in this field, there are very few people who are speaking openly.
Yes.
And not just very few, but very few Africans.
Yes, and even online, what I did before the baby, it's under my name, Jaqi Deweyi, because then I could share other topics too, because of my media work and whatnot. But I decided to just do this I became a bit inconsistent because of COVID. My production team are having issues, but we're going to resume because I get a lot of messages now from the old videos, which means people are getting help. Some are getting them off my Facebook, maybe some on YouTube, but going forward, I'll leave them on YouTube. So I realized I was getting a lot of American stories and other people, but then I think it makes more sense when a fellow African is sharing a situation. Because that setting, the African setting is more like the same anywhere. So if you getting an African sister sharing the similar situation, I think it would be more useful, given our differences in culture. It would mean more to you, and you would learn some more. And when you look at someone like me, so a lot of people think, but now, Jaqi, you have it. You are I have a job that a lot of people would want to be. Before I had it, I also was one of the people that wanted to. When you have a radio job, I have had my moments in my TV. I've been able to give talks and do certain things that help my community. I work with Masterpiece Global to create awareness at the grassroots. And for a lot of people, that's like, oh my God, she has it all. So when you can actually share this with them, they're like, oh, she's a human being like us and going through the normal thing. And it doesn't matter what you are in life, whether you're a grassroots woman who is illiterate, whether you're educated. Infertility challenges are the same. You're going to be trashed at some point of your life. You're going to be, because for a lot of people, you have failed. You cannot even keep a child. The one time you got pregnant, you miscarried. What kind of woman are you?
Yeah, I hope you don't think those things.
No, I don't think them for myself, but I know, I have seen, and sometimes people's actions show you that's what they're trying to do. But for me, I own my problem, and it's going to be very hard for anybody planning to
use it
against me, because if you do, then
it's a well-known. It's a
well-known
it's not even a
thing,
secret.
and it's every time you do, I became a collector of stones. Like every time people throw stones at me, and I understand this situation could have to do with it, and they're trying to. And sometimes people withhold information, like people that you care about. Maybe they want to bring their kids over, or maybe they want to or maybe their wife is giving birth, and they'll be like, oh, keep it a secret, my wife is pregnant. So you think, if I found out your wife is pregnant, am I going to poison her? Am I going to pray bad luck over her? It's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You need to help us know where our...
No, it's a normal thing. If you're pregnant, like now, I'm like, oh, Frida, congratulations. If you had the baby, I'll come, I'll bring a present, as I would if I love you, if we are friends, as expected of me, or I would for my sister. So people shouldn't feel like, oh, if somebody's battling this, you can't tell them when you're pregnant, because you can't be... It's like people feel guilty to celebrate motherhood with you.
And they treat you like you're dying.
Yeah, they treat... Yes, like... like, oh my God, how are we going to tell her to come to a baby shower? Yes. Or, you know, her situation. No. I haven't had issues attending a baby shower or bringing gifts or what. I haven't, like, my challenge hasn't affected how I see babies. Babies are innocent. And even as friends right now, if Frida, you had an issue with me, I wouldn't beef our neighbor for any reason. She's like, this is a sweet, innocent child. My issue is with the mom and not with this baby. So some people do, but I haven't gotten to that point. And I still credit my mom, because even when I don't feel broken, she'll find ways to make sure we always talking about it. And she's like, I get you. Yeah.
So do you have any last remarks, any final thoughts in this regard? You can swing for the fences. Tell us.
Yeah, the fact is about 10 to 15 couples in Uganda do struggle with this issue that we don't usually talk about. But I want you to understand, like any medical issue, like people are battling cancer, or we have cancer walks, we have we have a lot of awareness talks and communities for different issues. So we should look at infertility the same. And you know, when you're battling infertility, until you have the child, you are. Yeah. And my mom says nobody has a child thinking they will have this, because there is no sign of anything. There are people who have unexplained infertility. Everything is fine. Ovary is normal. Hormonal balance clear. Everything is okay, but they're not having the child. So stop thinking when someone is battling or is struggling with this part of their life, like they are like they can't take good news, or they are vulnerable, or they are very sensitive. No, I think it's normal. We understand and we celebrate you, and it will be good for you to even not feel insecure with your children around us, or thinking, because there are people who do feel insecure. Yeah. Who feel like, but you don't have kids. How will you? And then there are your friends who love you and have conversations and will be like, you know, I am struggling with this. And you're trying to have kids, but having children is hard. And I'm thinking, so what are you trying to tell me?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, but having children is really hard. It's funny. And for people in the struggle to motherhood or to fatherhood, there's nothing wrong with you. It doesn't make you less of a person. I have done so much for the community, and I still think, and I know a lot of women and men that have given back so much and have mothered people with love in the community. So it's not like a consolation, but when you are struggling with this, look at it as ministry, because why you of all people? God has chosen you because there's something, a gift you can use to bring hope and help some other people. So don't cry. Don't try to steal people's babies. And if you're in a very abusive relationship, empower yourself. Yeah, before you get out, most importantly, where it becomes like you start to calculate. Some people, the abuse is too much. They have lost, they have, scars all over because you're being abused physically for not being able to. But then there's also psychological abuse for a lot of victims. And when it happens, the best thing to do is empower yourself, both psychologically, and you can always come to me. We can always talk. And I'm working on a foundation Deweyi Foundation on this particular issue. And hopefully we can have some spaces for when people need a break to figure themselves out. You can come. And you're welcome if you want to contribute to the cause as well. The other thing is financially empower yourself. Because when you are depending on people, and that's the biggest issue. And maybe we forgot to talk about it, but you asked somewhere how you battle through this.
Yeah.
There are fears of, growing old alone, dying old alone when you're old and you... I think the only person that can really, really love you is your own child, apart from your mother.
That's
because,
what they say.
No, I know it. I know for a fact. And we all know for a fact. Apart from your mother, because you are from her, your mother is going to stick by you. But, maybe one day everybody else will be busy with life and maybe you're old and you could die alone and that's what happens. And I think that's why the adoption thing is really good because when you adopt this child, they become yours. But like I said, my circumstances and looking at the
current environment, it would, for me, make maybe things worse and maybe even more harder for the people that are close to me, that love me, like my mom. So, because whenever you go through something, in a way, my observation has been like all these struggles I go through and all these nasty comments, some she has had, she breaks more than I do. Like, it breaks her very much. So whatever your decisions are, think of your people, but when you reach at a point and you realize that, I have done everything and maybe it's not working, adoption would definitely be a great thing. So you don't die alone. You have somebody that loves you unconditionally along the way. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it any better. And I would like to thank you so much for being so open on this subject, especially from the African perspective, because you'll find a lot of information, but it's not geared to our audience.
Own setting, yes.
It doesn't even work. In our own
it doesn't
setting,
relate at all.
Yeah,
Muzungu will tell you we don't have to have children. I don't want to have children. They'll force you not to. But in Africa, you're supposed to. The moment you get married, they ask Atanso kulia kubuyembe.
I'm too scared to ask you to say that in English. But
no, they'll ask if Madame has started craving, or they'll call you, how are you? So should we bring mangoes? Like, they expect you to be craving.
Because you're pregnant. Yeah. But I must say, in my second pregnancy, I haven't craved any mangoes.
You haven't craved nothing?
No,
in your first, did you crave mangoes?
No,
not
mangoes.
You've not craved mangoes?
No, other things.
So what did you crave?
My first chocolate cake.
Your craving is really nice.
Yes, I crave chocolate cake. I even had someone bake a chocolate cake
just
for me.
You.
Yes, I ate it 3 days. Just chocolate cake and water.
Oh.
Breakfast, lunch, and supper.
And it felt good.
And that's all I wanted. And they were like, what should we write on the cake? I said, put happy birthday.
And what are you craving now? But it wasn't your birthday. Aww.
Just out of embarrassment, like, put happy birthday.
So what are you craving now?
That's all I ate. Right now, I'm not really... What am I craving? I think I'm craving cake as well, but this time it's not specific.
Any cake goes.
Yeah, any cake will do. Aww. So that time it was very specific.
So that's a good feeling. I think I would love to have that feeling sometime. Well, grace. If it happens, good. If it doesn't, still, I still know that I can be mother too. Yeah.
No, where I am right now, I wish men could get pregnant. Like, I carry it today, and then tomorrow I'm like, you carry it for me, I have things to do. I'll get it from you the other day. But it's been really, really great having you here.
Thank you.
I look forward to having you here again.
Thank you. And I do look forward to hosting you on my channel so you can tell us about your trial before you became a mom and your experience. Different stories help strengthen more people.
For sure.
Thank you.
There can never be enough
stories.
Yeah, regarding motherhood and being African in our motherhood.
Yes.
Yeah. So with that being said, I would like to let all the mothers out there know you're a great mom.
Yes. We are moms as well. We are great moms too. To the people we mother and take care of. Thank you.
For sure.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah.